All right, welcome everybody to Bayou Time. Very pleased to have Senator District 21, Senator Bret Allain. Very powerful senator. We'll get into that in a second, but how are you today? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here.
You've been a busy bee.
I have. I've been running all over the state and the district and trying to meet with people and see what the needs are. But, it's the last year of my term. So got 1 year left, and then I'm going to leave it to somebody else.
But I don't think we've seen the last of Bret Allain.
No. Yeah. No, you hadn't.
You're going to be busy.
I'm still going to advocate for those things that I believe in. Healthcare needs a lot of work. Tax reform is one of the things that I've tried to champion along the way. Orphan wells and getting some things cleaned up. All of those things are important. Making sure that the solar groups don't come in and just run over without any oversight, putting up these solar farms. You don't want orphan solar farms out there at 1,000 acres apiece. So there's some things. One thing I tell you I will not do is become a lobbyist. That's not anything Bret Allain is going to do.
Right. Well, good for you. Let's talk about this, because you moved up. I mean, I've always sort of watched your ascension, but when you got to be the head of revenue and fisc, I mean, your life changes.
It does.
No doubt about it. So you get a lot of control. You get a lot of say-so. You get to push a lot of projects. And that really helped this area out. So I don't know where we start, but let's start with Bayou Chene, since it was the one that was out front. There's a lot more we're going to talk about. But Bayou Chene evolved, came to fruition. That's a big deal. Let's talk about that.
It really is a big deal. When I first got elected, the flood fights and the floods that we saw all across, all the way from Bayou Black to Pierre Part and up the state, along with those portions of St. Mary Parish that would flood. Every time there was a high water in Chafalaya, the backwater flooding would really worry a lot of people, and I kind of got indoctrinated to that right as I got elected. And I said, we need to do something about this. Right. So when I got to Baton Rouge, we looked at a permanent structure to Bayou Chene, but it wasn't even on the master plan at CPRA. So several of us got together, and Gardy was there at the time, and we got together and we really started pushing and fighting for a permanent structure at Bayou Chene. There's no reason. We knew how to stop the flooding. We just had to get it funded.
Well, y'all had the template. The barge was brought in, but
twice.
For lack of a better word, that was a pain in the butt to keep bringing the barge in. It was a Band-Aid, but it worked.
It worked.
It held 4 feet of water.
Yeah, it proved the theory, and they couldn't deny that it worked.
Right.
So it proved the theory. The problem was once you put the barge in place, you disrupted commerce in that area. Ships couldn't pass down the Bayou Chene. You disrupted commerce for months at a time. Now we have a permanent structure that can be closed within 10 hours.
Right.
And if the water recedes enough, you can open it back up, and it works well.
And what that was a joint project between what, 4 parishes?
5, actually.
5, okay.
5. So the main 2 that probably have funded or are going to fund 80% of the operations of it is Terrebonne Levee District and St. Mary Levee District.
And Terrebonne did what, about 40%, I think?
Yeah, each are in for 40%.
Okay.
Actually, Bayou Chene is in Terrebonne Parish by 1 mile.
Right.
So,
but it affects so many.
It affects Assumption, Lower St. Martin, Iberville. There's probably we're probably protecting 5,000 to 6,000 homes, roofs, from blackwater flooding with the Bayou Chene. And it was really amazing because one of the tests that they did, they closed the barge and set it up and waited for 12 hours, And actually, it redirected the water, and the water behind, it wasn't high water, but the water behind the barge went down a foot just by closing the pressure off from the backwater flooding.
Yeah, that was incredible. I remember going out there and filming it and just seeing this whole thing, and it was, unless you're on the site, you can go by helicopter or whatever you want.
Right.
But when you get on the site by boat, it's a whole different animal.
That thing is big.
Oh, it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's the same as in the Houma Ave. You know, that barge that they put there, now we're going to replace with locks. But, you know, those type of structures really help and save a lot of people from flooding.
Yeah, what we'll do now, we'll take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk. We're going to get the senator to educate us because, as you know, with the revenue and fiscal, and with all the capital outlay that's been going on, the surplus money that's been going on, he's been responsible with a great delegation on both sides, getting a lot of money in the area. So we're not going to stop or start and stop with Bayou Chene. We've got so many more things to talk about. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Don't give up. At Waits & Downer Law Firm, we want to make sure that you have all the facts when dealing with your insurance company. We have the legal experience and ability to make them pay. Get the help you need. At Waits & Downer, it's our goal to not only get you a full damage recovery, but to get the insurance company to reimburse your legal fees. Call today for a free consultation. We are local and we are here to stay. Let our years of experience work for you.
All right, we are back with Senator Bret Allain, Senate District 21. But more important than the district, I know everybody wants to say, yeah, he's my senator, but he's a lot of people's senator because he's in charge of a lot of people's finances and projects and everything. And we talked about Bayou Chene.
Okay.
Because that was something that just got a lot of attention. But you sort of go quietly, you sort of tiptoe through the Senate. I've had senators in the past, they were calling me every week. Martin, put me on, I want to talk about this. Martin, put me on, talk about this. You don't make a lot of phone calls. We got to call you to get in. You sort of quietly tiptoe through your job, but there's a lot of projects that have been getting done. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about some of the things that aren't getting enough play that people really need to know about.
Yeah. Well, you talk about me quietly. That's just who I am. I'm not somebody who's going to be beating you down to come get on your show just to get airtime. That's not my job. My job is to serve the people in the state of Louisiana. So I spent 8 years. I mean, I've been on many committees. You know, from commerce to health and welfare. But the main ones, when I first got on, I spent 8 years on finance. And quietly, I learned. You know, you learn, you want to know how state government works and where the real power is, you follow the money. So I spent 8 years on finance, and this last time, we got together and decided who was going to be leadership, and I chose to take this committee, Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, because I thought I could do a lot of good here. The two main topics that Revenue and Fiscal Affairs takes care of is, one, capital outlay. All the capital outlay projects,
Right.
all the capital projects in the state come through an approval of House Bill 2. And second is all the taxes. Anything to do with taxes comes through this committee. And tax reform has been one of the things that I think the state really needs, and I've been pushing for. Kind of done that one quietly too. But as you know, all these, the bills start on the House side. But that's okay. It gives us the last look at it to put our signature on it for us to set the priorities. And the chairman has a lot of control over what goes in and comes out of the bill.
But we have someone in our own delegation too, who's, I guess, your counterpart on the House side, Jerome Zarang, was from
Jerome Zarang,
Yeah.
they take care of, appropriations takes care of the budget itself.
Okay.
We take care of the capital projects. So my counterpart actually on the House side is a Representative Stuart Bishop, who I know very well. But all of us work together very well, and I think we've done a great job for this area and for this district.
And I guess my point is we have a lot of people from this delegation that are in powerful positions.
Yes.
So, hence, the capital outlay, not only capital outlay, had a lot of surplus money.
Yeah. Well, this year we had as much surplus money as we had bonded money. So usually all capital outlay is money we bond as a state. Over the years, we can have new projects of somewhere between $350 and $450 million a year. Well, we had surplus from last year, and the Constitution dictates that if there is declared a surplus, we've received more money than we had expenditures for, then 25% has to go in the rainy day fund, 10% has to go to the UAL, the unaccrued liabilities for the retirement system, to try to shore that up, and the rest has to be spent on one-time projects. Most of it ends up in capital outlay. This year we had another $400 million, so we doubled the amount of money we could do in projects.
And they give you a year to do
Yes,
it?
this is every year. We had to allocate it. We did take some of it. 3 years ago, we started something that we just weren't going to spend all that money in 1 year, and we kind of created a savings account, if you will.
Right.
Because we saw that there could be shortfalls coming in the future, but the shortfalls never came about, and we've had surpluses the last 3 years. Listen, I've been up there when we had no money and had to make budget cuts, and I've been up there when we had money. It's a lot more fun when you got money.
Yeah, you can smile and go in public when you have all that money.
Yeah.
And it's sort of good, well, it's always good when you're going out of an office when you've had surplus and capital outlay, because you can go out with a smile and you get
Yeah.
a pretty good legacy, you leave a pretty good legacy.
And I think we've done, listen, one of the things we said we were going to do was spend the money wisely. How can we improve the life of the people in Louisiana, and particularly this district, by projects that are meaningful? And we didn't want to just put it in a budget where we'd have to allocate the money and spend it year after year. We wanted to put it in projects that were meaningful to the people and were much needed.
So let's do this. We have about a minute left on this segment. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back. I'm going to ask him to start listing some of these projects, some of these capital projects that he has, some of the surplus money. Where did it go? I know a couple of the big ones. You always worried about education. We'll talk about that. So we'll come right back with the senator. Don't go away.
I am a professional firefighter. Because of the line of work I'm in, there's a much higher risk to develop cancer. You're looking for a place that is gonna support you in the manner that you need. Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center is a place that you would want to come. I had to be positive to show everybody else that it was okay to be positive. They supported my mission to live a long, healthy, cancer-free life.
All right, welcome back. We're with Senator Bret Allain, Senate District 21, and he is in charge of the Revenue and Fiscal. He is the chairman of that, of course, on the Senate side. And a lot of people always go, well, Martin, you must know all about the Senate and the House. You've been reporting on it for years. I'm going, you kidding me? It's too much to learn. That's why you have chairmen to come on board and talk about it and everything. And it's pretty complex, isn't it?
It is. It is. you talk about the capital needs of the entire state of Louisiana, and it's mind-boggling sometimes. Last year, we had to allocate and prioritize almost $800 million. And you think that would be easy, but really, if you're trying to do the right thing and improve people's lives, it's not.
Was that 800 million with capital projects and surplus, or just?
No, that's all together.
All together. Okay.
So normally we would bond about $350 to $450 million on capital projects every year. That's built into the state's budget.
Yeah.
When you have a surplus, like I told you in the last segment, a certain percentage usually ends up in the capital outlay process to be able to fund projects, and sometimes some bigger projects that really affect people's lives.
Yeah, you said 25% goes to rainy day fund, 10% to the liability, so that's 35. The rest would go to the project?
It can. Now, you can allocate more to the rainy day. You can pay off debt with the money. You can do any of that. But, the decision was made that, with the roads and bridges and a lot of things that we really need in this state, it was decided that we'd put the majority of it in capital outlay.
So you have leeway and you have monies, but everybody's got to agree where it goes.
Correct.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
okay.
we fashion the bill. Leadership usually gets together and fashions the bill. We take input. I meet with every senator directly, find out what their priorities are in their districts, and from that we put together and we fashion a bill.
But that in itself, and a lot of people always sort of ask me, well, why do they have so much power? They're one person on the committee. You said it. You're meeting with every senator who's coming to you and saying, hey, Senator, can you help me with this project in my area? Can you help? That in itself lends itself to a pretty important position. That's where it comes in.
Well, and at the end of the day, a decision needs to be made about what projects are going forward. We take input from everybody, and literally at the end of the day, we'll sit down between myself, the Senate President, the Chairman of Finance, and the other leadership positions, the Chairman of Commerce and some of those, and the people on my committee. And they all have to agree. Everybody on my committee has to agree that this is a good bill, and we'll move it forward to the floor, and from there, hopefully to the desk of the governor. If there's some disagreements between the House and the Senate, we'll put it in conference. But usually when it comes out of the Senate, that's pretty final form of what the bill's going to look like.
Let's do this because we have about 3.5 minutes left on this segment. I'm going to get into insurance on the next segments, but give me a list of just some things that people may not have realized that you pushed through and helped push through.
Well, I mean, the Terrebonne Sport Complex, I mean, that's a total of, from that was some of the surplus, $2 million in surplus, and $1.9 million in priority one. That's $4 million that we put toward the sport complex. I'm sure you've talked about here before.
Yep.
The Wetland Discovery Center, we put another $650,000 in that. Replacement of the Brady Bridge, I mean, we made that a priority one. That's $5.8 million. Replacement of the pump station at Falgout Canal, another $7.8 million. So you see it starts adding up pretty quickly.
And Valhalla.
Valhalla extension. So you can't do that all in 1 year. You have to plan and do the engineering of it. So we took surplus of $2.6 million and gave it to DOTD and said, start designing.
Okay.
And so, but we have another, I have another $4 to $8 million in priority 5 when we actually start the construction. So we'll probably have to do it in phases, but it's on the list.
Right.
Bayou La Carpe watershed, that's been needed for a while. Those people that are affected by that, a lot of the car dealerships have come to me over time. I mean, when it floods, we've already put away the money to do the engineering. I think that's been done. That's in cooperation with the parish.
I can't tell you the amount of times I covered flooding because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to fix that. The money is allocated. That should get fixed here shortly. The parish is kind of heading it up, but we provided the money to do that. That was at a request. West Side Alma Street drainage, another almost $800,000 toward that.
That was a tough one because you had to jump through all kind of, engineers had to earn their money on that one.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
You know, and we'd put some relief valves back on the St. Louis Canal to take that drainage, some bigger culverts and all back there. Economic Development Authority, I mean, we've got $40 million sitting on the side. If one of these shipbuilders come up with a big project, that we can do it, but that's not funded. And the Houma project is pretty big. I mean, we put another $10 million in cash in it and another $10 million in priority one to do work there. And the slip dredging, another $5 million. And, you know, we'll get to, I see we're running a little short on time. I'd like to talk about what we've done and what we're going to do at Nichols and Fletcher.
Let's do this. We'll come back, and I'm just telling everybody watching the program, on Facebook and YouTube, it'll all be combined on HTV. We'll end this part. We'll come back. We'll talk about Fletcher, Nichols, and insurance. We'll talk with the senator. So be looking at what time that second part comes on HTV. On Facebook and YouTube, we'll combine all the interviews together, so you'll get a long time with the senator. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Don't go away.
Exciting news from Barker Honda. Introducing the all-new 2023 Honda CR-V. A new rugged design, longer, wider, with a significantly broader stance. Spacious interior with more premium high-tech features. More second-row legroom comfort. Plus, larger rear cargo space with power tailgate. Hurry in and see the all-new, larger 2023 CR-V now in stock at Barker Honda, your local President's Elite Award-winning dealer.
Structural heart disease refers to a defect in the heart's valves, walls, or chambers that keeps the heart from pumping blood properly. Valve or structural heart problems may be present at birth or develop over time. Your risk increases if you have high blood pressure, plaque buildup, history of heart attack, take certain medications, or have certain heart infections. The Structural Heart Program at CIS and Terrebonne General provides innovative solutions and devices with the latest technology to bring the best possible outcomes for patients. Learn more at cardio.com.
All right, welcome back. You might have seen part one with Senator Bret Allain. We're talking about a lot of projects. This is part two for HTV, everything together on Facebook and YouTube. But not to leave out Lafourche. I was born in Lafourche. I tell you, we don't leave Lafourche out. But you had a lot of projects in Lafourche Parish and also LA1. Before we talk about Nichols, let's separate Nichols and Fletcher. We'll come back on the second segment, but just projects in Lafourche that you want to tout a little bit.
Well, let's start out with, LA1. We put a lot of money toward that. We should have enough money now to fully fund the next segment, or at least in the process of doing that. Yeah. Look, when as you know, when LA1 shuts down, there's a lot of commerce in this area stops, and we can't afford to do it.
Billions.
Mm-hmm. And Fouchon is an artery that services the entire Gulf, and it's very important. So very
it
proud.
Really shuts the nation down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this another $200 million we got toward getting those projects done. I don't have the exact amount in front of me. Mm-hmm. We're also going to put a couple $100 million in improving the ride and resurfacing Highway 90 to interstate standards. We told DOTD no more overpasses until we get the ride smooth from Lafayette all the way to LA1. We think that's important.
Amen on that, yeah.
Yeah, so we've, Sean Wilson has resigned, but we locked up a lot of their money in that project, telling them And they've given us a schedule. It goes till 27, but by the time 27, 28 gets here, everything from the airport in Lafayette all the way to LA1, the ride should be drastically improved.
Sounded to me y'all had to get a little stern with DOTD.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. But it needed to happen. The other thing was, you know, they're talking about doing these improvements in Baton Rouge and maybe a new bridge up there, which was going to be a mass congestion up in Baton Rouge. Why not siphon off 30% of the traffic down Highway 90? They're going to end up going to New Orleans anyway. The reason they wouldn't take it, was because it was too rough. So we're going to do the signage and we're going to do the improvements before they start in Baton Rouge or in conjunction with. But we deserve to have a decent highway coming through here, and hopefully we'll eventually get that to I-49 standard.
But hence, that's why when we have local people in this area in key committees, you have some leverage,
Yeah.
a lot of leverage.
I ride that road. I know how rough segments of it are.
Very
And
true.
look, I have a lot of people that, you know, truck drivers and people with RVs said they won't come down here because it's too rough. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
We need to improve that.
Yeah, you'll bring in tourism once you get it
Absolutely.
fixed. No doubt about it. What are some of the other projects that you?
You know, City of Thibodeau, we're replacing the Canal Street bridges in the Menard pedestrian bike path. It's
Yeah.
$4.5 million there. Acadia Road intersection improvements, another $500,000. Lafourche Freshwater District, another $1 million we put to that. We've already talked about the I-49 corridor and the improvements there. But a lot of what we've done for Lafourche is at Nichols. I don't. you
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah, we can still segue because we'll spend some time next segment talking about it too. But Nichols and Fletcher too, right?
Nichols and
Okay.
Fletcher. So at Nichols, the Coastal Center, we're building a $20 million coastal center. Look, over the next 50 years, we're going to be spending $50 billion on the coast. This last year, we allocated to CPRA $1.3 billion with a B.
Yeah.
You know, we're spending a lot of money on the coast, a lot of it from these different sources, not a whole lot from capital outlay. But there's no reason why we don't train and have the epicenter of the coastal restoration be right there at Nichols. That's what this coastal center is going to do. It's not only going to study the problems and how to best restore the coast, but it's also going to be a training facility for the engineers and the construction people to do the coastal restoration out of Nichols.
And when you're talking about spokes of a wheel, that could be big for restaurants, car dealers. I mean, the bigger it gets, and Nichols really is sort of at a disadvantage when you're talking about LSU and Tulane and other places, but this gives them a pretty good hub, doesn't it?
It gives them a real good hub. It's not a well-known fact because we didn't want to brag about it too much, but this past year, more money was spent at Nichols State University and allocated to Nichols State University on capital projects than there was at LSU Baton Rouge. Think about that for a minute. Now, it's the first time ever, and it may
First
never
time I
happen again.
have ever heard that. That's
More
incredible.
capital projects were spent at Nichols than were spent at Baton Rouge.
That's a big statement.
Yep.
I bet President Jay Clune is doing cartwheels.
Let's just say I think he's very happy with what's going on.
Yeah. Was that a hard push for you, or did you get a lot of resistance on
I
that?
think it was right sizing. I've seen billions of dollars go to LSU. Look, and I'm a graduate at LSU.
Yeah.
Nothing against LSU.
Right.
But it was Nichols' time. It was UL's time. It was some of these smaller universities' time to finally get their fair share of the capital project. So all we did, look, nothing against LSU, but what we did was kind of right-size it last year. And I think it was important we did that while we had the opportunity.
All right, let's do this. We'll take another break with Senator Bret Allain. We're going to talk about a lot of other things. We're going to get to insurance, too. A lot you want to know about insurance. and what's happening. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're talking with Senator Bret Allain, and you know, he's so important in the revenue and fiscal part. And you've been hearing him talk about some of the monies, especially Nichols. He just released new information on how much they're going to get for projects, and that's incredible. But let's finish our talk with Nichols. We'll go to Fletcher, and then we'll morph into insurance. But what else at Nichols?
So huge need for nurses in this area. And every post-COVID, with the amount of nurses that have retired or left the profession, there's a huge need. Every university in the state wanted a new nursing school. But the first one we're going to build is right there at Nichols.
Okay.
We're going to build $20 million we've set aside. It'll probably end up being $25 million. A quarter of it's already been in, and I'll get the rest of it in this year before I leave. But we're going to start construction on a brand new nursing school to double the output at Nichols. I think it's very important. You know, myself and Jerome Zarang combined on this one to really push this through, and we're going to build it here, and I'm very proud of that.
So we could possibly see Nichols enrollment with the part you talked about in the last segment with the coastal and the nursing school shoot up quite a bit.
They tell me they can better than double their enrollment, and they've got applications that we could double it again if we had the facilities. So we are going to become an epicenter of providing nurses for the entire region. There's a lot of young people that want to get into the medical field in nursing. We just need to create the opportunity, and we're going to do it right here at Nichols.
So Thibodeau is going to experience growth
Tremendous.
like it's never seen before.
Yep.
And I know some people want to keep Thibodeau that quaint little town, but Thibodeau's growing. It's a great place to, you know.
Yeah. Well, listen, Thibodeau, this entire region, you know, the entire 3-parish region that encompasses my district is a great area, and it's time that we finally got a little bit of attention and a little bit of capital projects here to boost the economy going forward. That's what the money's supposed to be used
But this
for.
nursing school, I would imagine, Terrebonne General, Thibodeau Regional, the charity systems, I know for race, I mean, everybody who's St. Anne's,
Assumption, St. Anne's, Our Lady of the Sea, and Franklin Foundation.
Are you getting any negative anywhere with it? That seems to be a win-win-win-win.
The only negative is because the rest of the university's upset we're not building them there, that we do in Nichols first. And they asked me, why Nichols first? And I said, simple, it's in my district.
That's right.
That's
it's in my
right.
district, and I control the cards.
Well, I don't want to make enemies with the rest of my legislative friends, but look, I want to touch on something else too while we're here. We put a good bit of money into Luncom. You know, the research vessel, the Pelican, we put in another $10 million toward that. The Maritime and Petroleum Workforce Academy, we put in money toward that. Another $20 million for the Houma Marine Campus Phase 2 and the Lumcon Houma Marine Campus Phase 1. That's $20 million between those two projects. Which is, I mean, I think that's right in Houma, and that's really going to be a boom for, you know, we're a maritime center. Why not do the research out of here
This
also?
is the first time, Senator, that I'm hearing these are big, large sums of money So the capital and the surplus, and there's no reason for the economies around here just, what we should be exactly opposite of what the nation's doing.
Yeah. Well, we know we needed to diversify, you know, offshore wind, research. I mean, those are all big ticket items for maritime. There's no reason, we've got a maritime force here. We need to promote that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Now, at Fletcher, I wanted to mention also, Fletcher, we're building a kind of multi-purpose building. So it started with the ag technologies and being able to train technicians and people to go into the manufacturing at John Deere and Thibodeau.
Right.
So we're doing that. We've also expanded that. I've just had a meeting with Christine Strickland at Fletcher, the chancellor over there. We're going to move some money so that she can not only do the ag training there, but we're going to also do diesel mechanic. We're going to do, which will help maritime and the trucking industry.
You have to support the.
We're going to do an
infrastructure,
automobile technician training there.
Cool.
So we're going to double the size of that, and also advanced manufacturing, which they've been into, but we're going to move that on the campus and have those there, also diversifying the area. Look, it's about the money that I was trying to direct, everything that I've mentioned right here, all these big ticket items were directed toward jobs.
So
and
we're
having
talking
a
about
skilled,
VOTEC on a steroid level.
correct. Look, it's about jobs. You got a trained workforce, and we crank out really good people who want to work. The businesses will come here. It's all about creating an environment and upping the economy in this area.
Well, and you're helping business because they have a lot to pick from now.
Yep.
You know, they don't have just one or two that are qualified, and they all fighting to get them. You got a lot of people that could work at a lot of different businesses. All right, we'll take a short break. We're going to come back, and we're going to jump into insurance.
Here in South Louisiana, we know how important it is to protect our families.
When one of our neighbors is injured because of someone else's neglect, our team is compelled to use our experience, skills, and knowledge to seek justice and hold wrongdoers accountable. If you've been injured and want to know your rights, call St. Martin and Bourke today.
All right, we're talking with Senator Bret Allain. We've been talking about projects. We started with Bayou Chene, but woo, we've talked about so many projects. It's let me just give you a figure here. In 11 years, is it true that y'all spent over $800 million in Senate District 21?
That's correct. I had the staff added up over my tenure. Now, a good bit of that's been in the last 3 years as being as chairman, but we have spent, and listen, I didn't do it alone. Jerome Zarang, Tana McGee, Mike Fessy had some of the projects in there, Beryl. I don't claim credit for all of it, but we've done quite well for this area.
Yeah, the coalition. And y'all didn't even add the LA1 monies, huh?
No, I didn't put that in this figure.
Yeah.
Because technically that's not in my district, that's in Mike's district.
Well, that would be crazy if you added that. Woo, it'd be way out the roof. Let me ask you, let's talk about insurance, such a big part of the community. A lot of people are having trouble. Their insurance rates are going up. The banks are saying, look, you got to have insurance on your house. They can't afford both notes. I know y'all been listening to the insurance commissioner. What's your take?
Well, you know, I actually, as you know, I have a modest fishing camp down in Cocodrie, before Cocodrie, Robinson Canal area. And I got affected by the storm also. So I got to see firsthand. I was going down there. I got to see people living under their houses and in tents for a while and felt very badly. The money came so slowly, if at all. I'm still waiting for LIGA to finish up my account. But I got to see firsthand people who didn't have the means and were waiting on insurance money. Some of them are still waiting. This is ridiculous. You know, I don't think it was handled very well. Now, we just passed legislation went into a special session to put aside some money to incentivize some people to come to Louisiana to write insurance. The problem is we can't get insurance written. At my camp, my insurance doubled, over doubled. My house the same way. I think everybody's experiencing these high insurance rates in South Louisiana. But I think what we passed was at best a Band-Aid. You know, we need some real comprehensive alternatives to the insurance market here. Look, I think we should be putting money toward citizens and building it up so it can be a real alternative. You know, we've done it before in other segments of insurance. Workman's comp is a great example. That was a horrible market until Foster and that group of people actually built up LWCC and made it a viable competitor in the market. Citizens needs to be more than just a secondary market. I think it needs to come in and be a competitor to drive the force.
Because, I mean, the people that have called this station, and I know you're hearing it all the time, everybody who's in office is hearing it, they just can't keep affording. You know, a lot of them are on the cusp with their note itself, more or less the insurance rate.
Correct.
And I think that's why a few people decided, hey, I'm just going to find a place to live where I can afford it. And it's got to be frustrating for you and others to see this going on. And I think Governor Blanco went through the same thing.
She did.
Yeah.
And they came up with a similar program with mixed results. Look, this happens every time we have a major storm comes through here. We need a better solution than what's on the table in front of us. So,
yeah. What are you gonna? Let me ask you with 2 minutes left. Where are we gonna see Bret Allain resurface?
you know, I'm gonna stay involved and engaged. You know, there's some good people running for my seat. My son has come up and decided that he wanted to run for my seat. A younger version of me, if you will. He's got black hair now, and I tell people I had black hair when I started in politics, but I'm pure white right now. So I'm going to stay involved, engaged in things that I think are important to this state. But I'm going to also spend some time with my wife and the grandchildren and my kids who are very important to me.
Yeah, you put in your time, huh?
I did.
And with these projects.
I turned 65 this year.
Wow. Well, the projects that you just read to me are 1 year.
That was just what I did.
1 year.
That's just what we did this year.
It's incredible.
That's not all the years previous, and I mean we didn't have enough time to go through all those projects.
Right. We would need about 3 or 4 hours. Maybe that wouldn't suffice either, but I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for being transparent about it, because a lot of people don't realize what's going on over there, including myself sometimes. So thank you for that, and thank you for growing the universities and the VOTEX and everything else, and we appreciate you joining us today.
I think all those projects are very important, and I want to thank you for having me on. You finally called enough and browbeat me enough to get me here, so I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Senator. Good talking to you. All right, there you have it, Senator Bret Allain. We'll talk more. We'll continue to follow projects as they affect us right here in our viewing area. We'll be back. Don't go away.